The woman accused of following a mother and toddler out of a grocery store and brutally stabbing them in the parking lot was back in court today. We're breaking down Bionca Ellis' appearance and how this public hearing went very differently than her last one, and we discuss with former prosecutor Sarena Townsend. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Hey everybody, this is another Law&Crime legal alert. Have you experienced severe gastroparesis or other side effects after taking Ozempic or another GLP-1 weight loss medication? The Ozempic lawsuits allege that the drug can lead to severe intestinal blockage and persistent vomiting, and that manufacturers allegedly failed to provide adequate warnings about these risks. Well, True Law, one of our legal sponsors, is helping those injured file a claim through an experienced attorney who helps ensure your claim is thoroughly presented. Visit glp1case.com/sidebar to answer less than 10 questions and check your eligibility to file a claim. We have an update for you in the case of Bionca Ellis, the person we talked about last week. Now, if you recall, 38-year-old Margot Wood and her 3-year-old son, Julian, were leaving the Great Eagle supermarket in North Olmsted, Ohio. This is outside of Cleveland. It was just the middle of the afternoon on Monday, June 3rd. Authorities say that Ellis was seen on surveillance cameras inside the grocery store before allegedly following the pair and stabbing them both in a very frenzied attack. Julian was stabbed multiple times in the head and chest. He was rushed to the hospital where he sadly died. His mother was stabbed in the shoulder while trying to protect him. She's expected to survive. Police found Ellis nearby, took her into custody. She still allegedly had the knife that was purportedly used in the attack. She's been charged with aggravated murder, attempted murder, assault, child endangerment, tampering with evidence, theft. Now, during Bionca Ellis's first hearing, where the judge read the 10-count indictment and set bail at $5 million, Julian's father spoke briefly.
There's nothing that could ever replace my son, or anything that my wife and I, or even our other kids, are going through. It's horrendous, but I really wish no bail, period, or extend it to the max limit possible that you can, at the very least. Just do whatever you can to keep this monster behind bars.
Thank you, sir. Is there anything else you would like to say?
That'll be it. Thank
Okay.
you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is there anything else before I pronounce bond?
Your Honor, we would just ask that you consider assigning the Public Defender's Office, recognizing this is not our number. We did represent her at the first appearance unit. I did meet with her on Friday. We have had contact with her family and begun working on the case. Thank you, Your Honor.
When the original bond was set out of Muni Court, the bond was set at $1 million, and it was before the passing of one of the alleged victims. I do not believe that bond is appropriate given the change in circumstances and the allegations that are contained in this indictment. Bond is set at $5 million, cash, surety, or property. GPS, no contact with any surviving victim or victim's family, DNA order. Judge is John Russo. Pretrial is June 17th at 9 a.m. I'll assign counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And Ellis herself also spoke, sometimes choosing to whisper her answers.
Hello, Ms. Ellis. Do you have an attorney? You do? Do you have the money or means to hire an attorney? Have you received your indictment?
I don't.
Okay. Have you read it?
No.
You have not read it.
I read
Okay.
it to you back there, right? I did not.
We have a copy here. You can read it.
I don't want to read it.
You don't want to read it.
No.
Are you willing to accept that the public defender has read it to you?
I asked her not to.
I'm sorry.
I asked her not to.
You asked her not to. Well, but she did read it to you, correct?
No.
She didn't read it to you.
I read it.
Okay, well, we can read it in open court.
And Ellis seemed, for the most part, I guess you could say, unbothered by the accusations against her, sometimes smiling or appearing to giggle. Now, it is important to note, aside from the fact that we really don't know what she's thinking, Her attorney did mention there could be serious issues of mental illness, which we talked about on our previous sidebar. But her demeanor at a scheduling hearing on Monday was a different story. All right, so for that, I want to bring in former prosecutor Sarena Townsend, who we've had on Sidebar before. But here's the best part. Serena's actually with us here in studio now. Serena, good to see you. Good to see you in person. This is a shocking and disturbing case. What are your initial impressions of it?
It's horrible. It's one of those things that you can't ever prepare for. It is a mother's worst nightmare. It is any parent's worst nightmare. It is the most horrifying and shocking thing you could ever imagine and certainly experience.
I want to go over some of her latest court appearance here and get your perspective on it. So let's talk about this, her latest court appearance. So Ellis, she was seated. She looked down or away from the gallery as the prosecutors discussed the huge amount of evidence against her.
The state of Ohio in Australia, and this morning, Your Honor, with regards to discovery, some discovery has been transferred over to the defense via the portal. We also have a bunch of surveillance cameras and other miscellaneous information that is in need of a terabyte. So I indicated to the defense attorneys that they're going to need to provide to me an external hard drive. I also have been in contact with the medical examiner's office, and they indicated that I should probably have an autopsy report within the next 3 to 4 weeks with regards to the autopsy report of Julian. So other than that, Your Honor, the state of Ohio is progressing with discovery and turning things over. So we'll continue to do that as they become available to me.
Okay, thank you.
And also during this hearing, Ohio Judge John Russo discussed when the attorneys thought this case would be ready for trial, as Ellis seemed to kind of rock back and forth.
Very good. So I'm looking at the calendar, and at least initially, I'd like to set it for a trial. I think we said December 9th is a Monday. And 6 months out approximately, which is within the guidelines for the Supreme Court. Of course, those guidelines can be moved. But I think now, at least setting the date, everybody has a date on their calendar. Is that a date, at least looking on your calendars, is available to all the parties? Is that a Monday, Kathleen?
Yes, it is.
I was seeing would be the one, Judge. That
Yes.
may not work out for my schedule.
Okay.
But there are also some other reasons that may toll the necessity of going to trial quickly in this case.
Okay. And again, I'm not looking to move quickly. I'm just looking to have the date. So why don't we put the 9th down tentatively? And if you want to speak further on some of the thoughts regarding Ms. Ellis, I can hear from counsel. Why don't we put the 9th down as our trial date? Monday, December 9th, we'll go back to November for a final pretrial.
November 7th.
And then November 7th would be a final pretrial.
So look, Serena, it's hard to know what's going on in her mind, but clearly her behavior in court has taken a lot of people by surprise. They're bothered by what they see. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, in this situation, her defense, usually in a murder or any sort of defense of an assault, you have one of 3 options. Either it was self-defense, or it wasn't me, or some sort of insanity defense. And I think when people watch this person, at the hearing acting the way that she is, if I'm the defense attorney, I'm looking at that and saying, I really have nothing on self-defense. This is a poor innocent child. I got nothing on, it wasn't me, because it sounds like they have surveillance footage of the incident. And with the way that she's acting, I mean, you got to go insanity.
And a potential eyewitness from the surviving mother.
That's right.
But I guess, and that's something that we explored a little bit in our previous sidebar with Diane Menashe, that there could be a mental health defense. Mm-hmm. But that's a really tough bar to come by, even when you're seeing this odd behavior from her. And look, some people have looked and said she's, in a legal term, malingering, right? She's just, whatever, she could be faking whatever she's doing, or she really is a cold-blooded killer who doesn't care the way about this case. She is innocent until proven guilty, but the other way of looking at it is it's not really mental illness. It goes more to she doesn't really care.
Yeah, and in that case, it could just end up being a battle of the experts, right? Prosecutors putting on a mental health expert to say, this behavior is not typical of an actual mental illness. She's just pretending, which is what malingering is, of course.
Or she has mental illness, but it doesn't rise to the level of insanity, right?
That's right. Yeah, and it's a very difficult, like you said, very difficult bar to meet. And it also, you have to go into the nuances. Was she insane at the time of the event? Did she appreciate what was happening? Or are we talking about now? Was she on her medication? Is there medication? And apparently she had other cases before.
We've talked about that before, how she allegedly confessed to another killing. So she would seem to have some sort of understanding about what's happening here. But there was something else that happened. So the judge set this trial date, at least for now, for December 9th, which is some time away. But there was also this interesting exchange at the end of the hearing about a potential conflict of interest.
So before the case was indicted and assigned to the court, a staff member of mine noted that they had attended the wake of the decedent in this case. I indicated to that staff member if they could explain to me how they found themselves at the wake, and if there's some concerns the court should at least put on the record. And so I am going to put it on the record. Staff indicated that their partner had, if I'm correct, grown up with the decedent's father while they were youth, and maybe played basketball, like maybe CYO basketball and things of that sort. My staff indicated they had no interaction with the decedent's parents, including the named victim and the counts that are before me as well, and had never met any of the parties regarding the family. Staff did tell me they went, and that was the first time that they met the parents was at the wake. So that brief moment. They also told me that they donated to the GoFundMe that somehow might be out there. And so I want to note that. When I became aware of that, I became aware of that before the case was even assigned to me. And so then I felt it at least compelling. I don't know any of the parties, nor have I had any contact with the parties, and nor have I had any discussions with my staff regarding that. But I thought I'd put it on the record. I don't believe there's any conflict. I don't feel conflicted at all. And so I place that on the record for you to take consideration if you believe that you think there's a conflict with the court. I don't see one, just because I don't know any of the parties. But if you want to take that to your staff or your superiors and have conversations, you can let me know, or if you want to speak to it now.
Your Honor, on behalf of the state, we have no objection. In the efforts of being transparent, the members of the Wood family are related to a staff member in the prosecutor's office as well, and that person will have no contact or anything with regards to this case. So with regards to that, we'd like to put that on the record as well and let the defense know that.
Very good.
Thank you.
And Mr. Johnson and Mr. Mack, I don't know if there's a concern, or you just take it under advisement, and you can let the court know if there's any concerns that you have, whether we're on the record next time or through motion, or if you want to speak to it now.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. All right, very good. All right, I'll allow you to pick a future date with my bailiff, and I'll have that date just between the parties. I'll continue to ask that you update the court on when the autopsy report is provided to the state, just to make sure the external hard drive has been submitted as well.
Well, that was interesting. What did you make of that?
I just think that the prosecutor's office is being extremely careful with this case. This is obviously a very high stakes case. They have to win it. It's one of the most horrific things the county probably ever experienced. And so they want no reason whatsoever for there to be an overturning of this conviction on appeal. And so I think they're taking every single possible precaution to be transparent with, for example, this potential conflict of interest. I don't think that there's really that much of a conflict so long as that particular prosecutor has no involvement in the case.
Right.
But, they don't want it to be a situation where they didn't raise it to begin with, and then somebody finds out about it later and says something fishy was up.
And real quick, do you think this is actually going to go to trial in December?
No, I definitely don't think it's going to go to trial that quickly. Does it go to trial at all? I think that's also up for debate, because it's possible that if the defense is going to try to say that she's insane,
Right.
there might be proceedings different
Yeah.
from trial.
Yep, I agree. All right, and by the way, there's this GoFundMe for Julian's family. It's raised more than $270,000. If you want to donate for there as well. Really sad story. But Sarena Townsend, thanks so much for
Thank
coming
you.
on. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, everybody, that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.